The views and opinions expressed on the Hard Time Podcast are of the hosts and guests individually. The Hard Time Podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not affiliated with any entity, agency, or department. Human beings have thoughts and feelings that do not necessarily affect the professional performance of their duties.
Welcome to the Hard Time Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Motherfucker Welder. Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2026. We brought 2025 to a close. I don't know how 2025 for you was for you. It's kind of a mixed bag for me, but was interesting for the podcast. Brought a lot of change for the podcast, a lot of change professionally and personally going to days. A lot of change for the podcast, kind of change in format for us, going to, the hosts, us kind of splitting duties and stuff up and doing things kind of mano a mano, and then occasionally getting together to podcast. So for this one, I thought we'd wrap up some stories that we started over the course of the year that you were probably saying, Jake, I wish you would fucking get back to and update some of those fucking stories from June and July and August and March, and update us and let us know what happened. We had some of these were cliffhangers, things that went on quite a few months ago, and I failed to keep you guys updated, so it's a failure that I'd like to take care of today. So I'm going to cover some news stories, some that are pretty recent and some that have happened over the course of the year, and bring you guys up to date on what's going on. Like I said, it's just after the new year. I'm recording this the night before this episode's going to drop, so this is Hard Time After Dark. Just put the kids down. I locked my damn keys in the car, so I had kind of a later night. Getting back tonight, I had to borrow somebody's car, come get my keys, drive back. It was a whole fucking thing, because my car automatically locks 30 seconds after you unlock it. And I put my keys on my lunch pail, shut the door, then I went to open the door real quick, and it automatically locked me out. So I was like, son of a bitch, fucking thing betrayed me. So I usually put them in my pocket, but alas, I fucked it up. So nobody to blame but myself, technology. So kind of a interesting night, but it is a Hard Time After Dark. We'll get to some of these stories, some of the rumors that are circulating, some of the episodes. Let me know if there's anything you guys want covered, if there's any news stories. I've been kind of interested to see what you guys like. Some of the episodes that I just kind of threw together last minute have been performing really well. And then some of the episodes I was really worked kind of hard on haven't done as well. So kind of surprised to see what it seems like you guys, the political stuff seems to do really well, whereas some of the stuff I find more interesting doesn't necessarily. I know John's always telling me that the clickbaity political stuff is what people want to see, so I need to do more of that stuff, I guess. But is Sean Diddy Combs transferring to San Diego Correctional Facility with Suge Knight? That's one of the rumors that's out there. So here's the truth. So fans are joking that 50 Cent arranged this. MSN gets to this. Shivani Negi, I guess, is the author of this article from a week ago. Sean Diddy Combs is currently serving time at New Jersey's Fort Dix prison on 2 counts of transportation for prostitution, violating the Mann Act, after being acquitted of more serious sex trafficking and racketeering charges in mid-2025. As the music mogul serves his 4-year sentence, rumors have been swirling online that the Bad Boy Records founder might be transferred to a San Diego correctional facility, the same prison where the former record executive Suge Knight is serving time. Well, that would be rather salacious, wouldn't it? Fans who have followed Diddy's complicated legal saga know that Suge has played a pivotal role in exposing parts of his past, given their messy history. For the unversed, Knight is currently serving a 28-year sentence in prison for a fatal hit and run in 2015. But is a transfer really on the horizon? Let's take a closer look. Diddy transfer rumors to Suge Knight's prison go viral. A post circulating on X, so you know it's true, that Diddy will be transferred to the San Diego Correctional Facility where Suge Knight is currently serving time. Shared by Hoops Crave just a day ago, the post has already racked up over 5 million views, 2,200 comments, and 7,700 reshares, and more than 73,000 likes, sparking widespread shock among online users familiar with the duo's complicated history. One user said, "I can't prove it, but I just know 50 Cent is behind this." So after the release of the documentary, that would be interesting. Referring to the rapper's recently produced Netflix documentary, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, which unveiled never-before-seen shocking footage and details about Diddy's life. So do they both use baby oil on each other? No. Diddy, laugh out loud. Another user on X added, while a third quipped, "From diss tracks to cell blocks, full circle, bros. You really can't make this shit up." Same prison as Suge Knight. Netflix is already warming up the cameras, noted one person. Another added, "Oh boy, this is going to need another TV show itself." So they get into here a brief history of Suge Knight and Diddy's rivalry. Suge Knight and Diddy's rivalry stretches back to the late 1990s East Coast versus West Coast hip-hop feud when Knight's Death Row Records and Combs' Bad Boy Records were the center of the rap's most explosive conflicts, with both camps trading public insults, alliances, and disenergy as the genre exploded in popularity. One of the flashpoints came in 1995 Source Awards when Knight publicly threw shade at Combs and Bad Boy, creating a cultural divide the coasts and their artists. That era was marked with the tragic death of Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. Events have forever tied the beef and the two executives in hip-hop lore. Over the years, the rivalry continued to simmer, even leading to a 2008 testimony alleging Combs once tried to confront Knight with armed men in Los Angeles. While both men have denied involvement in the murders and have occasionally crossed paths without direct musical diss tracks aimed specifically at each other, their names remained linked through decades of industry tension. Oh no, not industry tension. It's the worst type of tension. Suge Knight warned Diddy that his life could be in danger. In a prison phone call on his Collect Call with Suge Knight podcast shortly after Diddy's arrest in September 2024, Knight warned that Combs' life is in danger because he claimed Diddy knows the secrets of, in quotes, knows the secrets of powerful people involved in controversial situations, suggesting that knowledge of these alleged connections could put him at risk. Knight didn't stop at warnings, offering blunt prison advice and even mocking Combs' chosen moniker, Brother Love, saying it wasn't a wise name to go behind bars. I second that motion. He also used interviews and calls to challenge others in the music industry for staying silent, and to urge Combs to confront his legal battles openly. So, is Diddy really transferring to Suge Knight's prison facility? No, that is not true. Diddy is not transferring to the San Diego Correctional Facility where Suge Knight is serving time. Hoops Crave is actually a parody account of the popular X-Page Pop Crave, known for going viral with satirical takes on trending topics, often blending pop culture and historical references. So while fans were excited for the idea, there's currently no incoming drama between Diddy and Suge Knight. So sadly, that will not be coming to actual fruition. No reality show, no actual drama, just a couple X posts and a lot of comments, a lot of shares, but no actual, nothing actually happening. So that's one of our more recent things to happen. This is another recent development from a case that we covered quite a while ago. It's finally come to trial. Former Marcy correctional officer gets maximum sentence for murder of inmate Robert Brooks. So we covered that on the channel. John and I broke down. There is a breakdown if you go back, and we covered the whole video and stuff with Robert Brooks, and we talk about it. I mean, we talk about some of the details. Yeah, there's extenuating circumstances and stuff. There's some stuff with Robert Brooks that's not good that he did that were not good. But you know, the bottom line is you cannot strike somebody that is in restraints. Like you can't do it, especially repeatedly and over again, you know, to the point where, you know, somebody's going to succumb to their wounds. You know, that's just, it's not going to end up well, especially in a place like New York. And especially there's a lot of rumors out there that this was something that had gone on for a long time, that there were allegations that this is something that was a regular occurrence. So if that was the case, then this was, you know, something that was just, you know, waiting to happen. And to do this in New York, of all places, like, it's not good. Not a good idea. Rochester, New York. David Kingsley, a former officer at Marcy Correctional Facility, was sentenced Friday to 25 years to life for the death of Robert Brooks. The case marks the first time New York State correctional officer has been convicted and sentenced for an inmate's murder, according to Special Prosecutor William Fitzpatrick. Brooks, 43, of Greece, was serving a 12-year sentence for assault when he was beaten by officers December 9th, 2024 at Marcy Correctional Facility before dying the following day. The incident was captured on body cameras and sparked national outrage. One of the key things in it was they didn't think that their cameras were recording because they hadn't turned them on. They didn't realize that their cameras were capable of passive recording, that even with them turned off, they will record for a period of time before and after. So they were able to recover the footage. So they thought they weren't recording any of this, and clearly they were. So it was just pretty extensive beating was captured on camera. It was pretty bad. Like I said, he was at one point believe Robert Brooks had one of the officer's fingers in his mouth. I think we can get into here some of the stuff that led up to it, possibly. An Oneida County jury found Kingsley guilty in October after footage showed him holding Brooks by the neck, lifting him as multiple guards surrounded the handcuffed man. Jury delivers split verdict. In murder case. That was another, must have been in one of the other cases, because there was multiple officers, sergeants, and nurses and stuff that were there. All of this could have been avoided if you and your fellow officers did your job, Robert Brooks Jr. said to Kingsley in court on Friday. My dad would still be alive. Brooks' son and namesake faced Kingsley in court to deliver a victim impact statement. Last December, I watched you beat my father to death on camera, Brooks Jr. said. You showed my father no mercy at all. You treated my dad like he was an object, not a human. Watching your actions on camera felt like I was stuck in a horror movie, and you guys were the monsters. Before sentencing, Brooks' brother, Jared Ricks, also delivered victim impact statement. He asked for Kingsley's sentence to fit the key role in killing Brooks and his inability to take responsibility. For us, forgiveness will take a long road, Ricks said. Just like the long path through grief and the trudge towards justice today, I hope justice is served. Before Judge Robert Brower handed Kingsley the maximum sentence, the former corrections officer's eyes remained on the floor as he offered condolences to Brooks' family. All of the events that happened over the last 3 days in Mr. Brooks' life should never have happened, Kingsley said. Every single incident was senseless. Nonetheless, I would like to offer my heartfelt apology to the Brooks family. Brooks Jr. said the sentence is one more stop on the road towards justice. Of the 10 former guards charged in Brooks' death, 1 was convicted of murder, 2 were acquitted, 1 awaits trial, 6 were sentenced after accepting plea deals. Fitzpatrick said every former guard who physically beat Brooks has been given a sentence. 7 years, 15 years, 22 years, 22 years, and now life. I hope this sends a message that reverberates throughout the rest of New York State. The remaining defendant, Michael Fisher, who appeared in court on Friday, he is set to stand trial next month. It is based on the theory that Mr. Fisher was intimately aware of the fact that Mr. Brooks was being beaten and stood there and did absolutely nothing, Fitzpatrick explained. Judge Bauer has already ruled that the law in the case, and that is manslaughter. In September, another defendant, David Walters, pleaded guilty to manslaughter after admitting to standing by and watching as Brooks was beaten. Earlier this month, Walters was released from prison after posting bond pending an appeal of his guilty plea. Walters' attorney argued he was prosecuted by way of an employment directive, not a law. We're concerned about the decision that we have suggested. We're concerned about the decision that we have suggested to the judge that he reconsider, Fitzpatrick said, adding that a hearing regarding Walter's release is scheduled for Monday. The New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision issued a statement regarding sentencing. Mr. Kingsley resigned in May 2025. Commissioner Martusello has repeatedly stated that he condemns the actions of the individuals responsible for the deaths of Robert Brooks and Messiah Natwi. This behavior has never been tolerated or normalized by the department. The department has and will continue to make substantial changes to improve the safety and security for all individuals within our facilities. To this end, DOCCS is committed to continuous improvements and actively strengthening our culture and practices to prevent incidents of violence. We are dedicated to fostering a safe, transparent, and people centered environment, and we continue to work tirelessly with our stakeholders to rebuild trust and enhance safety across all our facilities. Governor Kathy Hochul also signed an amended prison reform bill into law on Friday, aimed to expand oversight of guards' behavior to improve safety within prisons. The reform include increased camera coverage and quicker notification of families of deceased inmates. Hochul said the omnibus bill would enact a series of 10 transformational changes within the state prisons and local jails. Every single individual who enters our prisons deserves to be safe, whether they are employed there or serving their time. In the year since the murder of Robert Brooks, we've implemented a number of new policies and initiatives to begin the process of reforming our corrections system, expediting the installation of fixed and body-worn cameras, making it law that body-worn cameras must be worn and turned on, and investing more money in the Office of Special Investigations. I have been clear that there's more to do, and I am grateful to the legislature and the family of Robert Brooks for advocating for these reforms and working together to ensure that we could sign this important legislation to advance these reforms together. Our work is never done, and I never stop working to ensure our correctional facilities are safe for all. I will not, however, make sure that we have enough staffing to ensure that anyone, corrections officers or people in the facilities, are safe. That's an addendum that she forgot to mention. Meanwhile, Brooks' family filed a proposed amendment to its federal civil rights lawsuit on Thursday, which has new allegations. The complaint said another inmate struck Brooks in the face days before Brooks was transferred to Marcy from Mohawk Correctional Facility. Brooks went to a hospital before returning to Mohawk, where he vomited on the floor, according to court paperwork. The suit alleges that after a Mohawk corrections officer told an inmate that Brooks failed to clean up his vomit, the inmate and others beat Brooks. The complaint said similar scenario happened the next day. Several inmates punched Brooks with a sock containing padlocks. Brooks was then transferred to Marcy. So there was some details on that he was involved in an altercation at Mohawk before he came. And there was also indications that part of the altercation may have involved a corrections officer. So they left that out. So that's convenient. So that was part of the reason his comments towards the corrections officers and behavior towards the corrections officers was left out. Not that it's an excuse to beat someone to death, but and I don't know anything about this Messiah Nentwi. So maybe I will look that up at some point. Look at that case and see if it's worth another breakdown of another in custody death. Sounds like in New York. And I have another case that has some interesting video and stuff that I'd like to break down at some point. So, but yeah, so they're getting close to the end of the trials and stuff, handing out, sounds like, what is that? 70 some years worth of, sounds like close to 70 years worth of sentences so far um, for those 10 people that were involved in that beating death. So um, they're getting close to a resolution in that case finally now here about a year later. So it's fairly new. Here's a case that happened back in June. We covered that large escape that happened in uh, New Orleans, Nolans, where in the Big Easy, where all those inmates escaped through a wall behind a toilet. They pulled that door off the wall and went out through behind the toilet and ran across the highway. Um, en masse, there was a bunch of inmates escaped. I believe it was like close, like 10 or a dozen or something. And the last time that we commented on it, last update we had, there were 2 left. So, but that was 6 months ago. So, here Fox 8 picks up the story by Ken Daly. Jail escapee Antoine Massey recaptured Friday in New Orleans. It wasn't this Friday. It was a Friday back June 27th. So a little late getting to it. But New Orleans, a jail escapee Antoine Massey was recaptured Friday in New Orleans. The U.S. Marshal Service and Louisiana State Police announced. Massey was recaptured in the 9400 block of Strolets Street in the Holly Grove area, authorities said. A Marshals official said the arrest came after a Crime Stoppers tip, but New Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hutton later said the information leading to Massey's arrest was given her directly by phone. Massey was alone in the house when he was surrounded and surrendered to authorities, officials said. He peacefully gave up to law enforcement who surrounded the house, New Orleans police. Ann Kirkpatrick said at a news conference. The arrest comes 6 weeks to the day since the escape of the 10 inmates from the New Orleans Justice Center, which occurred shortly after midnight in the morning of May 16th. Massey, 33, is the 9th escapee to be recaptured. Only 4-time killer Derek Groves remains at large. Makes it sound like only 4-time killer. Only the 4-time killer Derek Groves remains at large. A $50,000 reward for information leading to each of the last escapees' arrest, or just the last escapee in this case, arrest, had been on the table for weeks. Groves knows we will capture you, Kirkpatrick said, but the opportunity is there for you to turn yourself in anytime. The public defender is ready to be there and be with you the moment you want to turn yourself in. Walter Martin, the chief deputy of the U.S. Marshals, said Massey was arrested around 3:30 p.m. He vowed the search for Groves will continue until the last escapee is apprehended. After his capture, Massey was flown by Louisiana State Police air support to a secure state facility outside the area late Friday night. A woman who asked that her name be withheld arrived by the residence where Massey had been captured. She said that she was the owner of the property and she kept it open as an Airbnb rental. She had no idea how the escapee came to be hiding in her house. So maybe we had commented on this briefly on the podcast. That sounds familiar. Massey had resurfaced on social media June 5th with an Instagram post which he declared his innocence and pleaded for help from Donald Trump, Kim Kardashian, and several rappers. Massey is wanted in St. Tammany Parish on tape and sexual assault and kidnapping allegations. He was jailed in New Orleans Parish, awaiting trial on domestic abuse, battery involving strangulation, and theft of a motor vehicle. Officials have said Massey had a history of 3 other escapes from custody dating back to 2007. Colonel Robert Hodges, superintendent of the Louisiana State Police, again asked for the public's help, providing information that will lead to Groves' arrest. We just ask the public continue to trust law enforcement. We will find Mr. Groves. Hodges said Massey would be processed at the Orleans Justice Center before being flown to Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola later Friday night. Hudson said she would not go into details over the phone call she received between 10 and 11 a.m., only that it culminated in the afternoon arrest. We've got one more to go, Hudson said. Like everyone else, I will call upon Derek Groves to do the right thing and turn himself in. Crime Stopper CEO Darlene Casanza, no T, said that the organization has received more than 1,200 original tips since the May 16th jailbreak. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Groves is encouraged to call 504-822-1111. So, Derek Groves was the last one. And then here, October 8th, last of the New Orleans jail escapees captured under a house in Atlanta. A SWAT team deployed gas and a canine to extract Derek Groves, convicted murderer, from a basement crawl space where he was hiding, ending nearly a 5-month manhunt. By Jeff Martin and Jeff Brook, Associated Press. Atlanta. A months-long search for the only Louisiana inmate still on the run after an audacious May jailbreak ended Wednesday when authorities say they found him hiding in a basement crawl space under an Atlanta home, bringing the last of the 10 escapees into custody. Derek Groves, 28, was convicted of murder and facing a possible life sentence before the inmates escaped through a hole in a toilet behind a New Orleans jail. He had the most violent criminal record of the escapees, and authorities offered a $50,000 reward for escape or for tips leading to his recapture. A SWAT team spent multiple hours searching the house for Groves after obtaining a search warrant, Deputy U.S. Marshal Brian Fair said. They couldn't find him. They had to deploy gas multiple times in the house and basement, Fair said. Based on how long it took for a seasoned, well-trained SWAT team to get him out, he had planned to hide for a while. Groves was eventually located by a police dog that was sent in to get him, Atlanta Police Deputy Chief Kelly Collier said. The tip leading to his capture came in the New Orleans Crime Stoppers, an anonymous tip program, Fair said. Groves said was the only person in the house and no one else was arrested. The garage door of the house could have been collapsed inward. It could be seen collapsed inward as officers and vehicles blocked off access to the scene. With a sloping lawn and surrounded by trees, it's in a neighborhood just west of a former Army military base that's now home to Tyler Perry Studios, one of the country's largest movie production facilities. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry applauded law enforcement for putting all 10 escapees back where they belong, behind bars, in a post on X. It was not immediately known whether Groves has a lawyer who could be reached for comment Wednesday. The other 9 escapees, who had been recaptured within 6 weeks of breaking out of the May 16th breakout, that's redundant, and most were still in Louisiana. Escapee's mother reacts to his capture. I'm all messed up. I'm just trying to talk to him, Groves' mother, Stephanie Groves, spoke to the Associated Press after learning about his arrest online. Son didn't even call her with his booking call. Fighting tears, she said she had urged her son to surrender peacefully, and she didn't know why he went to Atlanta. She said her family had been followed and watched by law enforcement since the breakout. It's just been a mess, she said. I'm glad it's over with. Of course, he was going to get caught, she added. And then, well, I guess we can get into it. It just, The article kind of summarizes the whole case. Jailbreak in New Orleans. Groves and the other 9 men yanked open a faulty cell door inside the New Orleans jail, squeezed through a hole in the toilet, scaled a barbed wire fence, and fled into the coverage of darkness with 10 men on the lam. It was one of the largest jailbreaks in recent U.S. history. The inmate's absence wasn't discovered until a morning head count hours after they'd bolted for freedom. At the scene of the crime, the cell where the men removed the toilet to sneak through a hole where they left a message. On the cell wall, they drew an arrow pointing at the gap where they slipped through. Above it was graffitied a message, "Too easy, lol." Laugh out loud. City and state officials had pointed to multiple security lapses at the jail, including ineffective cell locks and the assertion that inmates got out when the lone guard monitoring them went to get food. But authorities remained adamant that the men had also likely had help, and the escape may have been an inside job. A maintenance worker at the jail was arrested for allegedly helping the incarcerated men escape by turning off the water to the toilet where a hole was cut behind for the fugitives to sneak out of. The man denied knowingly aiding them via lawyer, who says he was just unclogging a toilet. Another former jail employee, identified by authorities as Grove's girlfriend, is accused of helping coordinate the escape. The search for fugitives. Hundreds of law enforcement officers scoured the cities for the fugitives and leveraged phone records of the hundreds of tips to track some of them down quickly. At least 16 people many of them friends and families of the escapees, have been accused of aiding the fugitives before or after the jailbreak and were arrested on felony charges. Court documents allege that those people provided food, cash, transport, and shelter. One fugitive allegedly hid out in a vacant home, which a friend had been hired to repaint, and was captured in Baton Rouge, more than 80 miles from New Orleans, or 129 kilometers for shorty rides. 2 others were caught at a high-speed car chase in Walker County, Texas, but most of the fugitives were found inside Orleans Parish city limits. Antoine Massey, one of the last fugitives to be recaptured, allegedly posted photos and videos on social media while on the run. It's not alleged, he did. I just have to say that for legal reasons, but he did it. It's on the fucking internet. Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson, who has largely blamed the breakout on ailing infrastructure at the jail, has faced widespread criticism from state and local officials over handling of the escape and management of the jail. Escapees face additional charges. Many of the men were originally in the New Orleans jail awaiting sentences or trials for alleged violent crimes, including murder. Groves had been convicted of second-degree murder in 2024 for opening fire on a family block of Mardi Gras on Mardi Gras Day, killing 2 people and injuring others. He faces a life imprisonment without parole. He's a nice guy. The 9 other men accused of breaking out of the city jail pleaded not guilty to escape charges in July, appearing by video call in Louisiana State Penitentiary. So they claimed that they were still inside the jail. Everyone is entitled to due process, but there's a video of these detainees running out of the jail in the middle of the night. They were not heading to court hearings, State Attorney General Liz Murrell said. They're, like John has said many times, they're just, exercising the right to a trial. They're not actually saying that they weren't not guilty, that they weren't out of the jail. I was being facetious. Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams hailed the end of the search and said prosecutors will pursue every available legal avenue. All of the 10 men are charged with simple escape, which is tacked on top of previous criminal counts and initially landed them in jail. According to Murrell's office, the escape charge carries a sentence of 2 to 5 years in prison, as long as the prison can keep you there. Grove's attorney was present for the arraignment but did not enter a plea on his behalf, reported. So what was the point of him being there? Reported the New Orleans Advocate, the Times Picayune. It's fun to say. Oh, shit. They're just unhoused. They were unjailed. They're not escaped inmates. They're just unjailed. We're just making shit up now. It's 2026. If they can make shit up, so can we. Oh, you guys like the political stuff, right? You're enjoying yourselves. We're 40 minutes into this episode. So let's cover something that you guys like. It's not necessarily an update to a case as much. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But talked a little bit about Ghislaine Maxwell. So she's in prison, right? This jail show, talk about jail shit. It's political. You guys like political stuff. People like talking about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She's imprisoned, and she's a Jeffrey Epstein associate, and now she's seeking release, citing new evidence. She has habeas corpus petition. So let's talk about it. December 18th. Ghislaine Maxwell's habeas petition argues that suppressed evidence and false testimony led to a wrongful conviction as her 2021 sex trafficking trial. Like Shaggy, it wasn't me. The fuck, it wasn't Michael R. Sisak and Larry Neumeister. Associated Press. Associated Press is quoted nearly as much as Corrections One these days. New York. Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend and longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, asked a federal judge on Wednesday to set aside her sex trafficking conviction and free her of a 20-year prison sentence, saying substantial new evidence has emerged, proving that constitutional violations spoiled her trial. Maxwell maintained in a habeas petition she has promised to file since August that information that would have resulted in her exoneration at her 2021 trial was withheld, and false testimony was presented to the jury. She said the cumulative effect of the constitutional violations resulted in a complete miscarriage of justice. A habeas petition, or a writ of habeas corpus petition, see, I knew the corpus was in there, is a legal request for a court to review the legality of someone's detention, demanding that the custodian, like a prison official, bring the prisoner before a judge to justify the imprisonment, serving as a fundamental safeguard against the unlawful confinement, arbitrary detention by ensuring due process. Filed by or on behalf of someone in custody, it challenges constitutional violations such as ineffective legal counsel or unfair trials and seeks release or other relief, often at the last resort after appeals are exhausted. Since the conclusion of her trial, substantial new evidence has emerged from related civil actions, government disclosures, investigative reports, and documents demonstrating constitutional violations that undermine undermined the fairness of her proceeding. The filing in Manhattan federal court said, in the light of the full evidentiary record, no reasonable juror would have convicted her. Mhm. Filing came just 2 days after the records in her case were scheduled to be released publicly as a result of Donald Trump signing the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The law, signed after months of public and political pressure, requires the Justice Department to provide the public with the Epstein related records by December 19th. Forced to act by the new transparency law, the Justice Department has said it plans to release 18 categories of the investigative materials gathered by the massive sex trafficking probe, including search warrants, financial records, notes from interviews with victims, and data from electronic devices. Epstein, a millionaire financier who was arrested in July 2019 on sex trafficking charges. A month later, he was found dead in his cell at a New York federal jail, and the death was ruled a suicide. Maxwell, a British socialite, was arrested a year later and convicted of sex trafficking in December 2021. She was interviewed at the Justice Department's second in command in July and was soon afterwards moved from a federal prison in Florida to a prison camp in Texas. It's like summer camp, guys, but for adjudicated people. After the Justice Department asked the New York federal judge to permit a grand jury and discovery materials gathered prior to her trial be released publicly, attorney David Marcus wrote on her behalf, while Maxwell now does not take a position on unsealing documents from our case. Doing so would create undue prejudice so severe that it would foreclose the possibility of a fair retrial if her habeas petition succeeds. The records, Marcus said, contain untested and unproven allegations. Last week, Judge Paul A. Engelmeyer in Manhattan granted the Justice Department's request to publicly release the materials. On Wednesday, a U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton said during a news conference on another topic that he would allow the law and the judge's orders pertaining to the records. Engelmeyer, who, along with the other judges, had previously rejected the Justice Department's unsealing requests before the transparency law was passed, said the materials do not identify any person other than Epstein and Maxwell as having had sexual contact with a minor. So he was fine with it because his name wasn't in the files. And since then, they've released more files and photos, as we know, with some diddlers. So, yeah, they're not really, they're, saying there's all this substantial stuff, but nothing really, they haven't really shown anything. Haven't really said anything in there. They're playing their cards pretty close to the vest. They're not showing their cards, and they're saying that they can't release any of these files now because it's going to ruin any possible chance of a upcoming chance of a trial or whatever for her. And it's like, in the future, but it's like, well, is it really? Is it going to prejudice? I mean, it's one of the most famous news stories in the world. Like, are you going to prejudice a jury? Like, are you going to find impartial people who haven't come up with an opinion at this point? I mean, everybody knows about Jeffrey Epstein at this point, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Everybody's formed an opinion on it, pretty much. Like, unless they're living under a rock. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't know, but yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, we're a little under an hour, but I appreciate you guys sticking with me through 2025, sticking with the Hard Time podcast. I hope uh, we have stuff to look forward to in 2026. Like I said, looking forward to a couple breakdowns. Let me know if you're looking forward to some breakdowns, maybe Messiah, Nantwi. If you find something on that, let me know. If you find another case that you'd like to have broken down on the channel, let me know. You can send me articles or just give me a name or something. It can just be a little something, and then I can research from there. So it doesn't have to be all fleshed out. Just a little single article or something to work with. I can pull at the thread until the sweater falls apart and see if there's something there. Um, See if it comes undone. Weezer reference. Oh man. Well, it was just Christmas here recently, so maybe tell a couple. We can do a extended Jake joke session, and we can tell a few Christmas jokes to end the year. What's Christmas or sorry, what's Santa's favorite metal band? Slayer. What did or why did Frosty the Snowman pull down his pants? He heard the snowblower was coming. Which one of Santa's reindeer do dinosaurs like the least? Comet, of course. Why is it so easy to track Santa on Christmas Eve? Because he always accepts cookies. What did Adam say on the day before Christmas? It's Christmas Eve. Last Christmas, my girlfriend got really angry when I gave her a box of photos with all her old boyfriends. I still don't know why. She said she wanted an Xbox. When I was out Christmas shopping with my wife, I bought myself some cutoff shorts, a fishnet crop top, and some rainbow fingerless gloves. And my wife asked me why. I looked at her and I said, Dawn, we now own gay apparel. What do you call a Christmas wreath made out of $100 bills? Aretha Franklin's. What do you call a bunch of chess players bragging in a hotel lobby? Chestnuts boasting in an open foyer. Why was a snowman digging through a basket of carrots? Because he was picking his nose. Oh, okay. That was quite the extended Jake joke session. All right. Love you all. This is to another year of hard time. And for myself, I'm going to say good night, Jake.